Hello, hello. So thank you again for tuning in for my weekly true crime live stream. And before we actually start, I'd like to thank one of my viewers because they actually made the first donation to this channel a week ago, and I didn't notice, but a viewer who suggested the last case, the Slenderman murder, CW. He made a donation last week, and I am so sorry for missing the donation. I'm so sorry for not thanking you a week ago in that video, but like I'd love to like thank you so much for making that donation today. But yeah, I had a blast looking up, researching the last case. Oh hey CW, yeah, like they're here. Yeah, thank you so much for your donation last week. I just noticed on my Streamlabs, so I guess I missed it last week. Maybe I was maybe I didn't hear the notification or something. But thank you so much for your donation last week. And I said it like a few times. Oh my god. But yeah, thank you so much again for tuning in today. We're gonna cover another case. And today's case actually you can also let me know if the mic is loud enough and you can hear me clearly, and or maybe the song, the background music is too loud. You can just let me know. But anyway, so today's case wasn't really suggested by a viewer, particular viewer, but it's part of an idea brought up by one of you. And I'm gonna obviously throw the the username if that's okay, obviously. Yeah, it's actually like a good idea, a great idea that one of the viewers suggested, and I just it was such a great concept that I just decided to go with it, and I hope it's gonna be a start of a very interesting series. I think so. At least I think so. It was a good concept, so I thought, like, why not? It's gonna be interesting. Let me switch to my murder board, and then we can kick it off. Okay, so here is the user, so Monkey D Luffy, One Piece reference. But they suggested this concept for a series of true crime live streams that I'm gonna do over the next few weeks. Well, I mean, quite a few weeks. So this is the first live stream of a series where I'll be covering one case, either solved or unsolved, or just bizarre, or like maybe a myth from each of the sorry. God, as usual, I can't English. So I'll be covering a case from each of US's 50 states, going alphabetically down the list. Mind you, I've never been to the US, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong at any point, like geographically, or I mess up a name, and let me apologize in advance, because I'm surely gonna mispronounce a lot of names, so don't come for me, for my incapable European accent. I'm definitely like, okay, I'm gonna admit something. Like, for the longest time, I remember pronouncing Kansas like as it's supposed to be, as it should be, but then I saw Arkansas, and I was definitely pronouncing it. I'm guilty of pronouncing it Arkansas. I'm sorry. Like, I was like, this makes sense. Like, come on, the spelling is just the same. So why? There's no way this could be pronounced differently. And then I was like, oh shit. Like, why? But anyway, so yeah. So today's case is from one of US's 50 states, and we're gonna start from Alabama. Wait. Ta-da! Alabama. Never been, but I would love to visit. So we are gonna start from Alabama with one of the most unexpected puzzling and heartbreaking unsolved murders I've ever come across. Like, I was reading about it, and every step of the way I was just, I don't know, like shocked, and I was wondering, like, are they gonna discover something? Are they gonna test this? Are they gonna check this? And I was just getting so frustrated with you know, each article I was reading, I was, you know, each source I was researching. But yeah, this case is definitely one of the most heartbreaking I've read, and it was just, I by the time I was finishing my notes, I was just so I don't know, I had this like this heavy feeling in my stomach. It was just a bad feeling, but you know, you're gonna see, like, I'm gonna talk about it, and I do want to honor the victims. I do want to, that's why I chose this case. I was like, I want to, you know, I want to talk about this. I want to just raise the not awareness, but like, I just want to document this story. So, okay. So this is the story of JB Beasley and Tracie Hawlett. And I'm sure a lot of you guys were you know, brought up or even still live in small towns. The kind that you always describe as quote unquote boring, and that nothing ever happens here. And I sure am from such a tiny, quiet town. I'm a small town small town girl. Where you literally kill time by watching your laundry dry. Like, that's how small my town was. I think my town was, I don't remember the exact population, but I'm pretty sure my town's population is like maybe 10,000 people, maybe less. Oh, Vinci's saying I only know Alabama from the meme. Okay, Yankill, Arkansas. Arkansas is the superior pronunciation. Always drunk on Arkansas. Yeah, I have to I really have to fix my, yeah, like, I definitely, if I went through like all 50 states, and thank God for this series, I'm gonna learn properly like how to pronounce each of US states. I'm looking forward to this, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be reading this, and then I'll check the pronunciation and be like, oh shit, that's how you pronounce it? Shit. Okay. I was today 0 years old. In my whole life, I didn't know. Okay, so back to the story. As I said, that was a small town. You know, nothing, the classic nothing ever happens here. And the case I'm talking about today is from a town exactly like that. Safe, quiet, full of very neighborly and welcoming people. No one could have predicted that on the night of July 31st, 1999, the town would be stained with a tragedy that left a dark mark in its history forever. And if you were born in the 90s, you know, 1999 was like a cherry on top of our embarrassing past. Like, you gotta remember loving Backstreet Boys, dancing to, like, I don't know, Ricky Martin's hits, like living La Vida Loca all the way. And also the Blair Witch Project just basically ruined a lot of camping trips, and that's for sure. Like, it ruined my camping trips. Definitely. I was like, hell no. I am not going into, like, are you out of your mind? Like, I would watch this movie and I was like, no thank you. I am okay at home, or like in the close proximity of my house. It's fine. Okay, so what you don't know is that okay, so on July 31st, 1999, two 17-year-old girls were just about to start their senior year at Northview High School in Dothan, Alabama. So on the night of July 31st, two best friends, JB Beasley and Tracie Hawlett, got into JB's 1993 Mazda Mazda 929 and they left for the town called Headland. Let me just go. Okay, so they get on the road and head for a town called Headland, which is here. And it was about 10 miles or 16 kilometers from Dothan. They were on the way to celebrate JB's 17th birthday at their mutual friend's house. And I think the friend's name was Jana or Jenna. Blair Witch was to camping what Jaws was to the beach. Oh yeah. I mean, that is... I think I couldn't have put it more clear and like better. So yeah, definitely. That's... Oh, sorry, my chat is, for some reason, chat box is like weird under... Okay, I gotta... Oh, that's how it's supposed to be. Here we go. So back to the story. So they go to Headland, which is about 10 miles or 16 kilometers away to celebrate JB's birthday. And now let's get through the whole timeline. The timeline. God, I really can't English. I have to like, I don't know. Let's go through the timeline. Oh God, I can't pronounce timeline. Why? Like, I can pronounce it in one word, timeline, but then I go into one sentence and it's just like, my brain is like, are you kidding me? This is a whole new level of language. This is a whole new level of language skills. Don't try. Okay, so we're gonna go through the whole timeline of that evening. So JB picked up Tracie and they left for the party around 10 p.m. and were seen in Headland at around 10:30 p.m. At one point, they got lost and stopped at the nearby station to call their friends, you know, for directions, because Jenna's house was in Headland, so they just wanted to get some better directions to the party. Tracie's parents said that their daughter's curfew was at 11:30. So that gave them, that basically means the two girls didn't have that much time considering how late they even got to Headland. So they were still lost. They couldn't find the house, but then it was 10:30, so they had an hour to get to the friend's house and celebrate birthday, and they would have to be back home by 11:30. So that didn't make sense. They were like, we have literally maybe like 5 minutes to step in, say hi, maybe have one, like a drink, not alcoholic drink, but a drink, just, you know, drink something and then, you know, head back home to be home like at Tracie's house by the time the curfew was, you know, like in place. Tracie's parents also said, wait, I'm lost in my own notes. Jesus. Oh yeah, okay, so for some reason an hour later, so around 11:30 p.m., the girls somehow ended up in Ozark, which is like 20 miles away from their original town, so Dothan. And there they stopped at the Big Little convenience store. The store turned out to be already closed, and there they met a lady called Marilyn Merritt. I think that's how you pronounce her name. You gotta let me know if I'm messing it up. So Marilyn actually came to the Big Little store with her daughter, who you know, like they were just trying to buy something. I don't know, like they were trying to buy something, just stopped by the store. But obviously the store turned out to be closed. And as Marilyn recalled, JB and Tracie asked her for directions back to the US Highway 231, which would take them back to Dothan. So I guess it's the one like right next to Ozark. But yeah, so it would just take them directly back to their hometown. And Merritt also mentioned that at that point when she met the girls, the car looked fine It was clean, it was spotless, there was no sign of damage. And she also didn't sense anything suspicious about the girls, like in their behavior, their demeanor. Everything seemed just fine. No, I'm like, it's okay. Like we just started, you know, nothing happened yet. So you know, you just missed the very beginning. So don't worry, you didn't miss much. Okay, so at that point of the night, Tracie had to make a phone call to her mom, to her parents, using the nearby payphone, and you know, to let her know that they got a bit lost and ended up in Ozark. And by the way, let me stop here. When I was writing my notes on this one, I legit got confused, so confused for a good while about how in the world those girls ended up from like Alabama all the way in the Ozarks. I was like, and 20 miles, like that doesn't make sense. That can't be right. Like the Ozarks are in a completely different state. Actually, like they stretch throughout 3 states, and it's nowhere near Alabama. And then turns out that there is a town called Ozark, 20 miles from Dothan, and it's not the Ozark Mountains. And I was like, thanks, US. That was one frustrating lesson in your local geography. Awesome. It's very similar to, because I know that US also has like Springfield in every state. And I was like, why? So yeah, I got super confused by the Ozarks and the town called Ozark, but and also I was hoping it's like the lake. Oh, wasn't there like also the Lake Ozark? That's in the TV show Ozark. Well, anyway, yeah, but so confusing. I was like, what? That's not possible. Like, how is that? Like, it's way up north. How is that 20 miles? That's not. There's no way. No way. Sorry. But yeah, it's yeah, it was confusing, but then I figured it out, so it's fine. And CW, lol, lol. I was thinking that for a moment too. Yeah, like right. I was like, what? Wait a minute. Like that can't be right. That's like not. That's so far. Like what did I do? Teleport? But who knows? With those cases, like who knows? Okay, so as I said, Tracie made a phone call to Carol Roberts, who is her mom. And Carol later said about the call, and here I quote, "Nothing was I messed up the quote. Awesome. Okay, so again, quote, "Nothing was wrong in Tracie's voice. It was, 'Mom, I love you. Be home soon.'" End quote. And neither Tracie nor JB would ever make it back home. Carol would later go to bed because obviously it was late. She was expecting Tracie very soon, so she figured, okay, she's on the way. She called me. It's okay. I'm just gonna turn in for the night. But when she woke up around 5 a.m. the next morning, so on August 1st, she realized that Tracie was not home. And right away she knew this was not normal. That was not like her daughter. She was always either on time or she would let her know and be home very, very soon. But something was definitely wrong. And oh yeah. Well, yeah, America never recycles names for places. Never. I sense some sarcasm there. Nice. Sup. Oh hey Hags. Sup. Yep. What's up? We started, but don't worry. Like we're just about to start on the dark stuff. Okay. So as I said, something was wrong. Tracie was not home, and Carol just knew that it wasn't normal. It wasn't like her daughter. So she contacted the police department around 8 a.m. and reported on August 1st and reported a missing person, her daughter and her best friend. Officers were dispatched to comb the roadways in search for the girls or their vehicle. And unknown to Dothan PD, Ozark police had already found JB's black Mazda. And it was parked on the side of Herring Avenue in Ozark. So, it was still in Ozark. It was nowhere near Dothan. It was less than a mile from where Tracie used the payphone to call home the night before. So it was very close back to the, you know, Big Little store. They didn't really leave that area. The car was parked in a place lined with dense woods, away from any houses. And mind you, that was a residential area, so there were houses around. But, you know, this car was parked exactly in a spot that was just concealed kind of from any houses that might have been there. And at first glance, nothing was amiss. You know, the car wasn't damaged, though it wasn't spotless anymore. It was covered in mud. And the gas tank was actually empty, even though it was full just the night before. The doors were unlocked, and the driver's side window was rolled down just a little bit. And inside, the police found purses and items that probably, I mean, most likely belonged to both girls, including JB's driver's license on the dashboard. And the only missing thing were the car keys and obviously the girls. Ozark PD sergeant who was at the scene contacted the chief of detectives, Lieutenant Rex Tipton, and he said, quote, "I don't know why I'm bothering you, but something about this feels funny," end quote. But, you know, would be nice if he didn't refer to this case, the, you know, abandoned car and possibly, you know, missing persons from this car as funny. Because this shit is about to turn dark very, very soon. So, when the surgeon contacted Tipton, you know, Lieutenant Tipton ran the car's plates and saw that it was registered in Dothan. I keep saying Dothan for some reason. Dothan. So that prompted him to contact the local Dothan's PD. And it turned out to be the right call because Dothan informed him about the missing persons report from one of the girl's parents. And it's not so funny anymore. Definitely not so funny. So the search for the girls continued, or started in Ozark, continued in Dothan, but remained unfruitful for several more hours. Eventually, Dothan PD sent investigators to Ozark in order to examine the black Mazda and get it towed back to the town for just further investigation. And while waiting for the tow truck to arrive, the investigator who was sent from Dothan to Ozark to just like watch over the towing, he realized he could also, even though they didn't have the car keys because they were missing, he could also open the trunk of the car with the inside lever or lever. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but lever, since the keys weren't there, but you know, that was an option. And it was 2 p.m., 6 hours after the car was found, when the police popped the trunk open. And there, inside, were the bodies of JB and Tracie. And I have to say, it took them 6 hours to remember there's an inside lever, or to check there's an inside lever to open the trunk. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I'm not like super tech savvy or like car savvy. I guess maybe I'm like too young or something, but like, I don't know, all the cars I know have at least like a lever or a button inside that just pops the trunk open. You don't need the keys. Like, if the car is open, you can just, you know, pop the trunk open. I don't know, like, am I just stupid? Am I just like getting this wrong? Maybe like older cars needed like a car key to, like, the key to open it. I guess, like, I sometimes see those, like, I don't know, older cars or older movies with older cars, and just, yeah, like, they need the key. So I guess, but that was 1999. Like, well, wouldn't there be already cars with like the lever inside? I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting this wrong. So anyway, oh, hey, Tyrant. Oh yeah, okay. I guess maybe I'm just too young to remember the cars without the lever. Well, also, if they're missing people, I think they would just, use like power tools to open it. That's true. Like that's why I was like it took you 6 hours and you were just standing there. Okay, you checked the inside. Okay, at the beginning they didn't know it was a missing persons case. At least the PD in Ozark. Like you know, the sergeant or whatever, the police didn't know that they thought it was just an abandoned car. So I guess it's normal to just check inside and then run the plates and see if it matches anything. Maybe it was a stolen car and it was, you know, everyone was okay. But then they ran the plates and it turns out it was connected to a missing persons report. So immediately I would be like, okay, time to open the trunk. Time to, like, you know, check this more thoroughly. Maybe there's something else. But they didn't. They just waited like fucking 6 hours. I don't know. It was just horrible. Horrible work of the police. At least at this point. Okay, so back to the story and the bodies. Unfortunately, yes, JB and Tracie were in that trunk. It was a terrible, heartbreaking sight to say the least. Both girls were actually fully clothed. Oh, wait, let me actually... We just... Yeah, let me just, Okay. Oh. Why do I have this still here? For some reason. Okay, so... Both girls were fully clothed, but appeared to be dirty, covered in mud, just like the car. Tracie had briars, so some prickly plants clinging to her pants. She also had a scratch on her arm and a single gunshot wound to her temple. That was most likely the cause of death. And JB had also been shot once in the face, in her cheek, and was also covered in mud. Both girls... Oh, sorry, no. I think it was JB's trousers that were... No, sorry. Both girls' trousers were also wet below the knee. For some reason, I thought it was just JB. But yeah, like, both girls' trousers were wet below the knee and dirty and muddy. Autopsy report confirmed there was no trace of drugs or alcohol in either of the girls, and rape kits were ran on both of the victims, but at the time it was never confirmed if the girls were raped. That doesn't mean the kits were never processed. The police just kept the information confidential, maybe for the sake of the investigation at the beginning and out of respect for the families. But later it was revealed that traces of semen were found on JB's skin, bra, and panties. Moreover, a palm print was found on the lid of the trunk. And then later, David Emery, who was the district attorney in the local county, said, quote, "You have to assume it's a sex offense, or at least came out of a sex offense. If we could find who donated that semen, I think we'll have the killer." And I am sorry, but way to make a murder and sex offense, like, you know, sound like a charity event, like donated semen. I don't know, maybe I'm not a native speaker, maybe I'm just not understanding the expression, but like, holy shit, man, sounded like, I don't know, Scout selling cookies. Just no. I don't, to me at least, it just sounded like, oh, okay, yeah, donate this semen. God, and this is gonna stay on my channel. Why am I... I'll see myself out. Okay, so then on September 1st... Why do I have this? Okay. Yeah. So on September 1st, donated, that's not the word I'd use. I know, right? So I'm not crazy. Like, I thought, no, that does not sound good. Yeah, like he was, right? So I did, yeah, like so I'm not crazy. I'm not a crazy person. Like, I read this quote and I was like, this sounds like you're trying to sell me cookies or something. Like, or, I don't know. As I said, like some charity, donated semen. Awesome. What is this? Like sperm bank? I don't... I'm not... What is possible phrasing they could have used? Yeah. that's so true. And I was just like confused whether or not this is an expression that you would like a native speaker would use or no. And I was like, it just sounds bad to me. But yeah, way to put a murder, way to talk about a murder. Back to the story. So on September 1st, 1999, a man called Johnny William Barentine, 28 at the time, walked into the Ozark Police Department claiming that he had information about the murder of JB and Tracie a month prior. And his interview went for hours. And what started as an offer to help with the case quickly turned into a very confusing story that changed multiple times. And I gotta say, I have to note that his story apparently changed like 6 times. So, God, we know that something's up, something's wrong with this one. So Barentine's first statement was that on July 31st, he left his home to buy milk for his 2-year-old son. It was around the time when Tracie called her mom using a payphone at the Big Little convenience store. He said that on his way back, his car was hit by a black truck with, I think, Dothan tags near Herring Avenue, where later the bodies of 2 girls would be discovered. And then the thing is, his wife said that that night he came back home around 1 a.m., visibly shaken, just nervous, something out of place. And also, why would you, like, if you left at 11:30, why would it take you an hour and a half to return from the store just getting milk? But it sounds right in the case of investigation, more other way to exonerate guilt. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like, this is sus. This is sus all the way. So, as I said, like, he came back home at 1 a.m., which is, it's just weird. If you're getting only milk, like, that's, and I'm pretty sure he was, he was an Ozark resident, so it couldn't have been that far away. Like, where are you going to the store? Where is this store you're going to? And then his story actually changed. So Johnny then claimed that night on the way to the store, he picked up a tattooed man, unknown to him, so he was a stranger, and gave him a lift to the Big Little store. And the stranger got into a car with 2 girls and told Barentine to follow them. Yeah, at that point I would be like, no thank you, I'm okay, I'm gonna just get my milk and drive away. Sus. Super sus. And, when asked if he could identify the 2 girls that the tattooed man supposedly got into the car with, Barentine said, quote, "the dead girls," and then said that he did follow the other car right onto Herring Avenue. Why? Why would you follow that? Like, why? Why in this situation you think, when it's a stranger, it's a complete stranger, some tattooed dude that you claim you don't know, he gets into a car with unknown girls to you, like, basically, and then he tells you, hey, dude, like, just follow me, follow this car, let's just go. And you just, like, roll with it? You just go with it? Why? Anyway. Back to the story. So, he followed the car to right onto Herring Avenue, where he claims the girls and the man got out of the car and started an argument. Where girls seemed to have been, like, very confrontational and just, they were trying to start an actual fight, according to Barentine. I don't know how true that is. Later, he claims he heard 2 gunshots, and that prompted him to speed away to go back to, to his home. But yeah, didn't he also say how he had a family, but he has still gonna follow some random dude? Yeah, I know, right? Like, you have a 2-year-old at home. It's 11:30. You went to the store supposedly to get him milk, to get him food for, I don't know, this night or the next night. Who the hell knows? But then you pick up one, you pick up a random dude. I don't know. I don't judge. You know, it's a small town. Maybe it was just like a hospitality thing, or maybe it's just, okay, I'm just gonna be helpful. Fine. But then you follow, like, you see those, like, suspicious scene, and you just follow them. And then, as I said, like, he followed them to basically Herring Avenue, where, you know, it's a crime scene. And then he saw the girls, mind you, he says he saw the girls and the man getting out of the car and getting into an argument. But then he says, oh, I heard two gunshots, not gunshot wounds. How do you hear a wound? I mean, yeah, but then he says, oh, I heard two gunshots, not seen. Like, even though he saw the argument, then he speeds away. He's like, oh, I don't know what happened. Like, I just went home because I heard gunshots. God, that's just doesn't stick together. Like, the story just doesn't stick together. And then the story changes yet again. So in this version, Johnny stated that the quote unquote tattooed man was actually his neighbor, who just happens to live less than a mile from Herring Avenue. And in none of the recounts did he mention anything about sexual assault. But to begin with, like, so first he says, oh, I just went to the store and I don't know, like, I saw the girls. Then he said, like, and then he says, oh, I just went to the store, but on the way I picked up this stranger, the tattooed stranger. And then it changes again. And it's like, oh, the tattooed stranger is actually my neighbor, so he's not a stranger. So it definitely didn't stick together. Definitely not to the police. So he was placed under arrest right then and there and charged with 2 counts of murder. And while in custody, he changes his statements yet again. So the story changes again, and he claims he is completely innocent and made this whole thing up to get the reward money, which actually was $35,000 for, you know, any information, any viable information about the case. So he changes it. He's like, okay, I am innocent. I was just doing this for the money. This whole thing is made up. I was never, like, there was never a tattooed man. I've never seen these girls. Like, I don't know them. I wonder if this guy's lying. I can't tell. Yeah, like, it's, you know, it was definitely sus, like, considering how many times his story changes. And oftentimes we do see those cases when it's like, you know, obviously the suspect turns out to be the person who whose story just changed constantly, and I don't know, like, they were trying to, I don't know what, like, they were trying to accomplish something, like, they were trying to be either turned out to be, oh, a helpful person who helped the investigation, or, you know, some, like, right, like, sometimes it is a case of the murderer or the suspect, or, you know, like, the perpetrator to insert themselves into the investigation to seem like a helpful witness, but then obviously it turns out that they were in this, like, this whole time. So after testing Barentine's DNA, because if you remember, like, they found traces of semen donated so graciously by the perpetrator. So they tested Barentine's DNA, and it turns out it did not match the one found on the scene. So the grand jury did not indict him for the murder and released him in January 2000. So unfortunately, yeah, we're back to basically we're back to square one. Like, there was just nothing. He was innocent. He was just an idiot who you know, wanted some of that money, some of that reward. God, I can't English. So he just wanted some of that reward money, and he just lied. He, you know, didn't think it through. Unfortunately. Well, also a lot of murders really wanna get caught for fame, or to stop the murderers to stop themselves at jail. Yeah, that's true. Like, a lot of them, you know, like, committed those crimes, but then I figured, okay, this is very like, I'm gonna be famous, I want to be remembered, like, even if I'm remembered by, I don't know, Or even if I don't get away, like at least, I'm gonna be remembered that way. Or if I do get away, I'm gonna be remembered in this case as this, like, oh, yeah, this person. Or like I'll just mock I'll just mock the PD. I was around all this time. I was right under your noses and you didn't get me. But that happens. Wait, this is like the little girl got kidnapped and the only person who's seen her was exiled from town. Oh, I don't remember. I mean, there's like a few of those cases that are very, very similar. If you find it, like, please do, like, post it here. I'd like to, like, I'd love to know it. Like, maybe I know this case. I'm just like, right now I can't recall which one is it. Okay, so then in March 2000, so nearly a year after the incident that didn't have a definite crime scene, a woman appeared who lived just south of Ozark and reported that on July 31st, 1999, she had heard a female scream, or two screams, and what she believed to be 2 gunshots. She then led the police to a wooded area right beside a vacant house, and this is a picture of a possible place that she was talking about. So this was approximately 100 feet off the road, and investigators and FBI then examined the place and found a 9mm shell casing, the same caliber as the casings found in JB's and Tracie's bodies in the trunk. Hey, hello, Lambo. Thank you for joining. We're halfway through the case, but you can like rewatch it. But yeah, nice to have you here. We haven't gotten to the final point, so you're just about to hear it. So yeah, so they, that woman pointed the police to the place that most likely was the actual crime scene, because to begin with, when examining, like, the girls' bodies in the trunk and the placement and, just the state of the bodies, like the examiners did actually confirm that it was most likely not the place, they were not killed there. Like, it was not the crime scene. Like, they were moved into the trunk after they were killed. Or, when they were dying, they were probably placed in the trunk. So they were shot at a different location. And when asked why she didn't come to the police with this information before, like sooner, the woman stated that she, quote, didn't want to get involved. And end of quote. What the fuck, lady? Like, see, this is the problem. This is the problem in a lot of investigations. You either have those greedy people who tell a bullshit story and change a bullshit story a couple of times and basically divert the investigation, like, completely, or you have people who do have the right information, but for some goddamn reason they don't come forward, even if they can stay anonymous. Like, they don't have to show their face. I guess it is like, some people are worried for their safety. Some people are just I don't know, worried that, oh, the killer is gonna come for me, or I'm gonna have some trouble, or whatever. But, like, honestly, it was the same with the Zodiac case, because right, like, if you remember that case, at one point, and I think this is the point where the police actually faced the Zodiac. There was a moment where someone tipped the police that the suspect was a black man. I think it was the murder of a taxi driver or something, and someone tipped the police that, oh, the dude was a black man, or for some reason, like, someone misheard it, someone mispronounced it. They said, like, oh, this person is a person of color, and the police was looking for such person. And then I think at the crime scene, or very, very near the crime scene, they came across a white dude, and they were facing him, and I think they asked him some questions, and then they let him go because they were looking for a black person, for a person of color. And they definitely saw the Zodiac, and that was the only time when they were close. And it's just, this kind of miscommunication and the, you know, diversion by someone just tipping that, oh, it's a black person. It just messed this whole thing up, and that's why we don't know, most likely, that's why we don't know who the Zodiac is. So, yeah, there are so many people who never say anything just because they don't want to come forward. There are also a ton of cases where people know about it but say nothing because they expect other people to say it. I know, right? Like, that's... Like, I get it. I understand. Like, sometimes people are scared. Sometimes people don't want to come forward because they think, you know, oh, the killer is out there. Like, maybe they will get me. But you don't have to... You never have to, like, reveal your face. You can just tip the police and they will check the... They will check it. They, even if it's like an anonymous call, like, they have to check it. If it's something that they think is viable for the case, yes, they will check it. Yeah, someone said the killer was black and the killer escaped because they weren't looking for a white suspect. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he wrote to them in a letter how they missed him. Right? Like, that was the most... Oh my god, I was just like watching a documentary or like reading this case, and then I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, that was literally him. And you just like snuck, like, you just basically slipped right from their hands, like right through their fingers. What happens to police witness protection? Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's... And as I said, like, it doesn't... You don't even have to show yourself. You don't even have to come to them. Like, you can just, like, call from a payphone anonymously. Like, you know, like, if you have like a very important... You think that it's an important information, or, like, you actually saw something, or you actually heard something in that, like, on that day, in that area where later, you know, someone was found dead. Just do it. Just call. Like, I don't know, man. Like, that messes the investigation so much. Like, sometimes, especially also the people who just, like, want their reward and, like, tell a bullshit story. As I said, sorry, got so I got so pumped up by this, but it's just so frustrating. Okay, so no leads so far. After Barentine, there were just no, you know, they for a long time they didn't have any like any suspects. Definitely no suspects, but there are 3 other persons of interest that police consider to be somehow connected to this case. Let me this. So the surveillance camera from the Big Little store captured a small white pickup truck in the parking lot at the same time the black Mazda was there. The recording isn't clear enough because it was 1999 and, you know, CCTV was shit. I mean, not that it's like much better. It is better now, but, you know, back in the day it was just terrible. So it wasn't clear enough to be able to tell who the driver was. The police released a photo of the truck and the possible driver early on during the investigation, but to this day the person remains unidentified, and, you know, they didn't come forward. And then the second person of interest is an unnamed man from Michigan who happened to be in the area where the girls were murdered, and he didn't have an alibi during the 3 to 4 hour window when the girls were out, missing and eventually murdered that night on July 31st. But unfortunately, fortunately for him, his DNA did not match the one that was found on the crime scene. And then we have the third person of interest. It was a man from Mississippi who was apparently in Ozark that night, supposedly visiting relatives for a few days, and he actually left the town 2 days after the incident, so after the murders. He was arrested later for possession of drugs, what was the word? Paraphernalia, out of Ozark. And again, his DNA was tested, but it did not match the one from the crime scene. And unfortunately, 20 years had passed, and the investigation, all the interviews, and any evidence collected, multiple features on crime shows and in the media all were basically a dead end. There was just nothing. They didn't find anything. It was featured, I think, on America's Most Wanted and then on Unsolved Mysteries. And then the conspiracy theories started to emerge. Some even claiming that the ordeal was a huge police cover-up, as usually, as always, this kind of conspiracy theory like just comes up in every case, I feel. It was said that it was an Ozark police officer who was behind the murders, and his colleagues just covered up for him. His superiors just covered it up, and he was never charged. He was never, obviously brought to, to the court. But obviously that was a far-fetched theory, and it had no evidence. And the case remained cold and unsolved until 2019. In 2019, Ozark PD reopened the case, wanting to try a different approach, and maybe this time solve it. And at the time, a new forensic testing method called DNA phenotyping was used to help arrest the Golden State Killer, Joseph James DeAngelo. So forensic DNA phenotyping is essentially a new method of using the biological samples from the crime scene to create a prediction of the donor's appearance traits and ancestry. So you can actually build a family tree from, through this testing. Like, you can build a family tree, and if the perpetrators or, the suspects, possible like ancestors or family members also submitted a sample into the database, then the test would just match them, which I'm sure you guys heard about it. Oh, getting Ace Attorney on this shine. Nice. Okay, so I was talking about the DNA pheno. Oh fuck. Did I mess it up? Did I mess up my board? No. Okay. For a moment I was like, I messed up my board. So as I said, that it was the new type of testing, and that prompted the Ozark PD to try using the same method and see if it gives them any new leads. They took the suspect's, semen sample collected from the crime scene 20 years ago and submitted the evidence to Parabon Labs, a company that provided both the forensic testing service and the database of possible family members. And Alabama State Lab collected the results provided by Parabon Lab and confirmed a match. So we had a match. Polly Lewis McCraney, aged 45 at the time of the match being found, and aged 25 at the time of murders. He was an Ozark resident and was arrested and charged with 5 counts of capital murder and 1 count of rape. As I said, at the time of JB and Tracie's murders, McCraney was 25 years old, recently divorced from his first wife, with a pending paternity suit. And ironically enough, just a day before the murders, he was ordered to submit a DNA sample for the paternity test, but he never complied. So they didn't. That's why there was no match for him, when they were doing the basic DNA test. He had no criminal history and was never considered a suspect, 20 years ago. There is no indication or evidence that McCraney knew the girls before the crime, and in his social circle, he was actually known as a religious man, as a man of God, and he had military background. Match.com. So in many years, he might not seem to fit into a murder scenario or a murder profile. But upon closer look, you do notice his behavior his living style, lifestyle as suspicious, you know, that of a man who might be hiding an impulsive and dark past. So McCraney, first of all, McCraney maintained multiple addresses using PO boxes, and he opened through like the deep south, just like throughout the state, which he used for various unknown purposes. He actually was giving, like, to the police when this was unrolling, like he was giving all those different addresses that definitely did not, like, were as far as possible from the crime scene. But then again, like, he did have, turns out like he did have an address that was only half mile from the crime scene, and he lived there at the time. So after the initial hearing, the prosecution also listed details from Colley's Air Force record, which shows that he had been he was charged and convicted with aggravated assault, battery of a child younger than 16 years old, and he was also unlawful detention. Sorry, and he also had an unregistered weapon while serving, so that's definitely illegal. His behavior around the time of murders was very, very much suspicious and incriminating. As I said, he stated his address on Patterson Drive in Ozark, which was like apparently like much further away from the crime scene. But that house didn't even have like utilities hooked, electricity hooked up, and he was in the process of moving there, but he still hadn't moved in yet and was living in like half a mile from the crime scene, from the convenience store where, you know, the girls were last seen. And he also owned a .9mm gun that was unregistered and illegal, and it was the same caliber that the one used to kill JB and Tracie. So it took 20 years to solve the case of JB and Tracie, but it can finally have some, you know, the case can finally have some closure, and a person responsible for taking 2 and possibly more lives will hopefully face an appropriate punishment. I was trying to find, because as I said, like, he is charged with 5 counts of murder. I was trying to find what other murders he was charged with, but I couldn't find details. Like, everything was about JB and Tracie's case, which is good, you know, obviously, like, their case should be loud. But I wanted to see some more detail on, like, other murders and crimes that he committed. But there was, I don't know, like, maybe I didn't look well enough, or I don't know, I didn't find the right sources, but I couldn't find it. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, we got him. We got him, yeah. We got him, definitely got him. Like, thank God for, you know, this, I know it's 20 years after, and it's, you know, 20 years too long. Definitely 20 years too, but at least in the end, like, the family can have some closure. The person who is responsible is in prison, or, you know, I think they are seeking death penalty for Colley, and I don't know, like, if it's, I'm not against death penalty, honestly, like, but only, how do I say this, like, only if there is evidence, like, beyond reasonable doubt, like, their guilt is just beyond reasonable doubt. Like, I don't know, maybe if there's a video recording where you see them murdering someone, then I would be like, okay, yeah, I mean, this person definitely murdered someone, they are guilty, and they don't show remorse, then maybe, like, I would not, like, I would be willing to give death penalty. I don't know, that's just my feeling, you know. Like, for example, there was this sorry, oh god, awesome, my throat is like talked for too long. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water. Hold it. Carboy surely must have an obstruction of justice charge, no? Oh, you mean the one who made, like, false statements and changed his story. Yeah, I mean, he was locked up on right, because they arrested him on September 1999, and then they released him on January 2000. Sorry. God. So he was in jail, like he was in custody for a year, about a year, and I'm pretty sure he had some, like, later on, like they did charge him with like false statements. Yeah, like just, I mean, duh, like he basically like diverted the whole investigation, and they were focused on him as a suspect instead of looking for the actual one. So maybe that also was at fault. That definitely played a part in in the investigation, not looking further into Coley, or not looking further into different suspects, I guess, because they figured, oh, we have this guy, like his story changes, like he's sus. He doesn't have an alibi for what happened, and he was behaving in a very weird way. He got a horse as a host. Yeah. Jesus. Seriously, I'm just gonna like but okay, let me just go back to the office. Okay. So yeah, this man, this case was just so heartbreaking, like especially frustrating when you think about those the statements, the fake statements, the fake witnesses, the guy who just stopped halted their whole investigation and was focusing was taking the focus onto himself, where when the police could have been like still looking, and maybe they would have found Coley, maybe they would have found the right suspect, but and also the woman who didn't come forward until like a year later. At least she did. Okay, so in the end she did, and they discovered the right crime scene. But man, like it was just so heartbreaking. I couldn't, and just imagine like two 17-year-old girls just about to start their senior year. They haven't even started like their life yet. And they were about to celebrate one of their like birthdays, and their life just ended because, I don't know, like because they met the wrong person. So that's definitely one of the most frustrating cases. That definitely one of the most heartbreaking. Although, yeah, I mean, there's unfortunately there's many of them. There's so many cases that I read, and it was just so heavy, and I was just thinking like, if only they didn't meet this person, if only they weren't there, they weren't so unlucky to have gone there, or like have gotten lost. But yeah, it's always rough hearing cases like this. That, yeah, definitely, like me reading them and then telling them here, it's like twice as much, because I have to like revisit this case. Like it's not only me reading it, reading about it, it's like talking about it and seeing the pictures, like seeing the photos. It's they were, you always see those people, and like most of those cases are young people or like children, and the children ones are just, they are the worst. Like I feel like the children murders are just the absolute worst. And yeah, and definitely like those people, like the perpetrators deserve a very heavy punishment. Like they deserve what they get. But just so happens to be my niece's birthday. Oh, okay. Tell her that you love her, and I don't know, like tell her not to come out at night, not to step out of the house, lock her doors. Like always lock your doors. Seriously. Like okay. I know it's gonna sound kind of like nitpicky, not nitpicky, but maybe a little bit paranoid, but like I see a lot of like movies. Also, movies teach us the wrong thing. Like I see a lot of movies where people just like come out of their house and don't lock their doors, or like come in and don't lock their doors, and it's like middle of the night, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Lock your doors. It takes you like 2 seconds, 5 seconds, maybe 5 second tops. Like just turn, I don't know, like just lock it. Like, what the fuck? And then they are like, oh no, someone broke into my house. Well, no shit. Like, you don't lock the doors. That's basically welcome sign, you know? Always remind her to triple lock the door. Yes. And deadbolt the door. You know, like she gotta be safe. Still, like, she has to remember, like, if she's ever like left at home alone, even for 5 minutes, she should fucking lock her door. Yes. Or like call someone, or I mean, she's probably not left at home, like not left alone at home much, but still, you know, like if she ever does, even if someone like her parents step out for like to the store or something, like she should definitely lock her doors. Lock the doors behind them. You never know. Heck, I always tell my mom, like, and my mom is definitely not an 11-year-old. I always tell her, yo, like, lock the doors. I don't care. Like, you have to be safe. Yeah, deadbolts are the best. Yeah, that's, you know, like I'm a little paranoid, but I do always want to have a deadbolt. Heck, like even when I'm like in a hotel, like I immediately just deadbolt my door. Even if it's like middle of the day, nothing happens, that the hotel is very safe, like I don't care. Like there's also so many cases where someone was found in like in a hotel room. I think I have a problem. Like I've read one too many cases like that. And now I'm just paranoid all the way. Even without the fear of murder, burglars at an unlocked door are like, oh hell yeah, free jewelry. Yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't, as you said, like it doesn't have to be a murder. Like it's just like basically like a nice invite for any burglars to just come walk right in and just rob you. So lock your doors. But yeah, that's about it for today. This is gonna be a series, so next week we're gonna cover a case from Alaska. So if you have I don't know, if you have a suggestion, because I'm still looking for like into Alaska, like unsolved cases or myths, you can like, or also like supernatural cases. If you have a suggestion for a case from Alaska, like please put it in the comments, like below the stream, or you know, under the stream, or maybe in my community tab. Like I'm also gonna make a post, so you guys feel free to like suggest some cases and I'll be happy to look into them. I never understood why you wouldn't always lock your doors. I know, right? Terrible. Like why? I get so pissed. Like if some of my friends, like my friend, like mind you, I lived in Japan, and okay, Japan is like kind of generally considered a safe place, but like one time I visited my friend and he just walked out. Like we were going to a store and he walks out and he doesn't lock his doors. I'm like, why? Why would you do? Why? Why do you do this to me? Like just lock your goddamn door. I'm going back to sleep. Okay. Go back to sleep and get some rest. Thank you so much for coming today. For joining my live stream. But yeah, as I said, next week we're gonna be covering a case from Alaska. So if you have a suggestion for an unsolved case, a bizarre case, I don't know, like or even a case that's like very gruesome, like, you know, just put them in the comments. Just send the comment. You know, you can even send me a comment on Twitter. Like I'm gonna post on Twitter about it, so feel free to give your ideas, and I'll be happy to you know, look into those cases, and who knows, like I might choose your case for the next live stream. So yeah, you're welcome to give me some ideas. Just in general, it takes like 30 seconds and makes the chance of break-in way smaller. That is true, and I can't believe people still don't do that. Like it's 3 seconds, 30 seconds, even 30 seconds. If you're locking with a key, no, yeah, that's true. I mean, like from the outside, like, because I was thinking from the inside, like from the inside, maybe it's like a turn of the lock or something. From the outside, yeah, it takes you like literally 30 seconds to pull out your keys and just lock the fucking door. Just do it. Like Shia LaBeouf, just do it. You'll be safer and you'll be thankful because you're gonna be alive. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think we covered this case, and we're done for today. So thank you so much for joining me for today's live stream, and I hope you guys will join. Like, I hope you guys liked the case. It was heartbreaking. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about it. And yeah, like as I said, next week, Alaska. We're gonna go down the list. So that's it. Stay safe out there. Always lock your doors. Please, goddamn, please just lock your doors. Until the next time.